do your jobs, give us concrete solutions, and for once, value our lives over your bank accounts, or we will vote you out. And I want everyone to remember, everyone here, everyone watching this is not an excuse to skip school, nor is it a pointless effort that will bear no fruit. I urge everyone here, everyone watching to remember history, to remember that the protests and the March on Washington during the Civil Rights Movement brought us the Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act of the 60s. I want everyone to remember that the protests from the women's suffrage movements gave us the 19th Amendment. And so on and so forth. I want all of you to know that all of us will join their ranks in the history books, because we too will remain persistent until there is real change. Thank you.
When does this end?
Senator Van Hollen and Senator Cardin.
Do you all hear anything from your teachers? Like, are you?
Thank you, Michael. Do we have Montgomery County, Maryland in the house? This time, it will be different. America is listening to your voices and the students around the country. When it comes to gun safety legislation, you will not take no as an answer. You will demand that we have gun safety because it's your future and America's future. That's what's at stake. I'm proud to be on your team, along with my colleagues, and make it clear, we will demand comprehensive background checks for anyone to buy a gun. We want the end of the assault-type weapons in America. And we don't want any more guns in our schools.
Lost and loved. Strive to find that meaning. I believe we will be seeking it to the end of our days.
We're going to take you back to this congressional hearing where we heard from some members of law enforcement. But right now we're hearing from the father of one of the students from the...
Similar to other types of mass protests that have taken place in this country in the past will spur some kind of action like that as well. Sure. And, you know, how have these shootings, when you see them in the news, you hear about them on social media, how have they affected you personally? I mean, you've seen these signs like, am I next? And it's just like a really visceral, like my school, any school, my brothers go to school, my friends go to, could all could be next. And that's a really scary thought because, I come to school to learn, I enjoy learning, and that is not a place, that is so not a place where a gun should be, and it's not a place where I should feel in danger of anything but failing my pop quiz. And it's just not like, I shouldn't be afraid that my teachers are going to have to be armed. I shouldn't be afraid that I should have to crouch under a desk. I mean, we've grown up with all of these, lockdown drills, and it's like, usually they're kind of like, oh, like another lockdown drill, but recently, it's been like, wow, this is something that we need to practice because it really could happen to us. Yeah. And that's a really scary thought. Sure. How do you feel seeing all of these, hundreds of students that are here today kind of fighting for the same cause? What's going through your mind when you look out and you see all your peers that are here doing the same thing? I feel really inspired. I'm pretty sure this march was intended to be a mark of solidarity with the Parkland students, but solidarity with the activism that they've been engaging in and that we're engaging in right now. And I just feel really inspired because I know that, Congress can totally ignore us, but it'll be harder. And a bunch of us will be 18 come November, and all of us come 2020, and we'll be voting. And I just we're gonna vote them out because there's no place for someone who takes an endorsement from the NRA and then it's like, oh, well, sending my thoughts and prayers because thoughts and prayers don't do anything. Sure. Are you going to come back on the march on March 24th? I'm actually out of town. It's my spring break. But you made it to this one. Yeah, we'll be here for other ones. And we live here in D.C., so it's always really good for us to come down. Cool. Great. Thanks for talking to us. Thank you so much. All right. Again, we're just tuning in. We are out here in front of the U.S. Capitol building where there are hundreds of students that are all gathered. Many of them marched out of their schools. They walked out of their classes today to be here for this gun reform rally. There's a big group of people over here that are listening to some lawmakers who are giving speeches and sort of rallying the crowd. There are lots of people with signs, lots of people chanting, and just tons of like really revved up students that are out here today. So we're gonna observe for a little bit.
And there's a guy that's
now that we're kind of out of that little hallway on campus, you'll really get a better idea of just how many kids are lined up right now walking to the state capitol from Boise High School. There's definitely a few hundred down here right now. There's signs, and at the front they're chanting. We'll go catch up with the front of the line and see what's going on there. You'll be able to see here too, the Boise police have actually blocked off several streets downtown. It looks like all of 8th Street at State has been blocked off, at least 2 or 3 blocks over. It's hard for me to tell just exactly how far the police blockade goes, but you'll be able to see as we walk through 8th and State here in downtown Boise with this group of kids that Boise police cooperating, helping these kids get safely to the Capitol this morning. And if you're just joining us, this is a live look at the Boise High School walkout. Some support from the crowd. You can see that, I mean, this line goes pretty far back. A lot of kids here this morning. It's certainly interesting to see downtown Boise being shut down for the march in the middle of the day. I mean, usually this time of day you'd see traffic all up and down both of these streets, and instead today it's just Boise high school students.
Go away! NRA! Go away! NRA! Go away! NRA! Go away! NRA! Go away! Go away! Go away! NRA! Go away! NRA! Go away! NRA! Go away!
There's a really large crowd at the Capitol already. From what I understand, there's students here from around the Boise School District that have been gathered here at the state capitol waiting for the kids from Boise High School to join them here, and you'll see behind me, long line of kids. And there's demonstrations at the Capitol almost every day of the week, some smaller, some larger. This one's certainly one of the bigger ones you'll see during the week, and you can see a large crowd here of parents, students, family members, community members with signs, eagerly waiting for Boise High School to join them here.
Let's move up onto the steps. Put them in.
Thank you. Keep fighting. Power to the people.
Your sister should have joined.
From the top of the Capitol steps here, you'll really get an idea of just how many students walked out at Boise High School and around the school district this morning. From just the murmurings I've been hearing, there's people from all across the state at the Capitol this morning. You can see a pretty large crowd. The kids you see filing in down on the bottom right, those are Boise High School kids that just marched over from school about 3 blocks away. And if you were on the walk with us, you saw Boise police blocking off several streets. And it's tough to see from here. I'll try to give you a look. There's still a pretty long line of kids walking from Boise High School. And they're getting a big round of applause, a big pop here at the state capitol. And if you're just joining us here, this is a live shot here at the state capitol in Boise, where kids from across the Boise School District have come to the Capitol to protest in solidarity with students across the United States today in honor of the 17 kids that were killed in Parkland, Florida. month. And if you were with us earlier, we walked from Boise High School with a couple hundred students that are still filing in. You can see a pretty large gathering here at the state capitol in Boise. Of course, there's events all across the Treasure Valley, all across the state of Idaho here this morning. 10 o'clock was the designated start time. I think we're actually going to hear some comments from some students. Let's see if we can get a little bit closer so we can hear those.
In our community. Many of them sit in silence as their students, who they consider their children, sit in their classrooms full of fear. This is what 2 local teachers had to say regarding this issue. Teacher number 1, I hope students know that while I go against the ethical code saying this, they have my full support. If a gunman ever dared set foot in my school, I would take a bullet for any one of you guys. Why? Because you are the future of our country. You all show higher levels of compassion and empathy for one another that I know will guide the human race far. All I have to say is, thank you for teaching my class today.
Hey sis, I'm gonna be down there. Can you check out my booth? Yeah, I know. We'll be around there.
My students aren't just my students. They are my friends, my parents, my future presidents, and astronauts. They are the future. They deserve to feel safe. The support of our resilient and brave teachers will allow this student-led endeavor to eventually find success. Teachers, like students, have had enough.
Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to the 2018 Enough is Enough Student Walkout. I can't describe how honored I am to have each and every one of you present with us today. We are here to rally on an issue that is close to home. Every day, alongside hundreds of other students. My name is Colette Raptoff. I attend Capitol High School as a senior. I run a student-led organization called People for Unity, and I have been given the opportunity of a lifetime to work with some of the most powerful students I have ever met. Today, my generation has been labeled Generation Columbine. We have faced over 8 mass school shootings where 4 or more students have been shot and killed. Every day, we walk into our schools, and in every class, we have our own mental plan of what to do if this particular classroom were to be the victim of a school shooting. Today will be a day of learning, honoring, and remembering. What I do is not heroic, it is not special, it is not spectacular. Each and every one of you make a change that can move mountains. And I encourage you to do so.
We'll take your 5 seconds.
We'll film it.
Take a moment today, before and after the speeches, to visit the many booths here to get involved. And if you leave here knowing anything, I want it to be that your voice will not be lost in a country of millions. Your presence will not be ignored if you will it to not be. And you can create the change you wish to see with your own 2 hands. Speeches will start around 10:30 today, and again, thank you so much for being with us today.
Hashtag love and affection is important. Love and affection is important. Love and affection is important. Enough is enough. 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 Nothing.
You're joining us live this morning from the state capitol in Boise, where students from across the Boise School District and really across the state are here on the Capitol steps protesting in solidarity with students across the entire country this morning, all walking out of class. What's happening now is really they're queuing up for a rally about 10:30. They're going to have different students and supporters come and speak here at the state capitol. We'll stick with this for a little bit longer, but we'll have full coverage for you coming up on the News at Noon live. I know our Natalie Shaver, she's out in Nampa covering what's going on out in Canyon County. We're here, of course, in Boise, but stuff going on all across the state of Idaho and, of course, the country. If you weren't with us earlier, we walked from Boise High School to the state capitol, about 3 blocks. The Boise police had blocked off all the streets so there would be no traffic, and I'll show you again. This is the live look here at the Capitol. Students, parents, family members, siblings, community members. I'm not good at judging numbers, but you can see there's a lot of people here, especially for a Wednesday at 10 o'clock. Excuse me? It almost makes this work.
Hey, come!
Having an automatic weapon, it almost takes out the sport. Yeah, no, it's
Sally, help me.
Oops, sorry.
Wait, my sister? Wait, is my sister my sister? I know.
They all came in one big quote. Yeah, there were some that came from. No, probably not. So shh. Okay, everyone. Northern Idaho is home of a local superwoman. I am immensely honored to introduce our first speaker, someone who has been an inspiration to me and a powerful leader for all Idahoans. Elected to the House of Representatives in 2014 and again in 2016, she has helped move our state forward. She was the youngest member elected to the Coeur d'Alene Tribal Council and has found herself a voice for the voiceless. Now, the first speaker at the Enough is Enough student walkout. Everyone, please welcome Paulette Jordan.
My name is Paulette Jordan, and I'm running to be your next governor of Idaho. So I'm not here to talk about myself. I'm here to talk about all of you. And why we're here. Because it isn't about politicians or public officials or any of the people who occupy our traditional institutions of power. This movement is about all of you. The students who have been failed by the people. It's about you claiming your own power. As a mother of two beautiful sons, I know how terrifying it is. Are you going to lie down and let the NRA roll all over? Hear about shootings like the one that took 17 lives at Stoneman Douglas High School. Are we going to pass a ban on assault weapons? 14 high school students, like all of you, trusted their lawmakers to protect them. They trusted that they were safe at school. And how can any of us trust like that now? How can any of us believe in a government that witnesses Sandy Hook and does nothing? Aurora and does nothing? San Bernardino and nothing? Pulse nightclub and nothing? And I was in Las Vegas when the shootings happened and nothing. So I know how frustrating it has been for me as a mom, a voter, and a legislator to watch our government's incomplete action in the wake of these tragedies. And I can't imagine how infuriating it must be for all of you to watch the inaction of our public officials and know that you cannot yet vote any of them out of office until November 6th. But while many of you don't have a vote, you've shown the world that you do have a voice. And as you're all learning, our democracy is built on all of our voices. The mass shootings, they typically exit the news cycle in a flurry of thoughts and prayers within the first 9 days after they happen. But in the 9 days after the Stoneman Douglas shooting, students pushed for a nationally televised town hall with their lawmakers, compelled those lawmakers to commit to gun control measures, pressured the President of the United States to call for a ban on bump stocks, led corporations to sever the ties with the NRA, and raised millions of dollars to organize the March for Our Lives in our nation's capital at the end of this month. So your voices are building a movement, and your voices can forge this change. So because of students like you, I am hopeful about gun safety in our country for the first time in a decade. I am hopeful that you will help strengthen universal background checks. I'm hopeful that you will help bring about laws that mandate training and licensing as a required part of gun ownership. And I'm hopeful that your activism will help remove guns from the hands of people who seek to harm all of you. So Idaho needs your activism. We need voices like yours to create progressive momentum around the issues that matter most. We need voices like yours to let our public officials know that people are watching. We need voices like yours to prove to the rest of the country that a desire and a capacity for change exists in Idaho. And we need voices like yours because the future of this state belongs to all of you. So, as I wrap up here, I want to let you know that as you continue to work towards progress, know that I am on your side. And not just when you turn 18 to vote, not just when you graduate college, and not just when you become the next legislators and business leaders of our state. I'm on your side now. I'm listening to you now. And I'm excited to work with you starting now. Thank you.
Hey everybody, how are you guys today? Okay. So a few weeks ago, I was asked two questions. First, to describe my what. What do I do? What are my passions? And how do those passions lead to action? Then I was asked to describe my why. Why do I do what I do? I had never really thought about myself in that way. A life of whats and whys. But I loved it. It allowed me to truly understand who I am and helped me to voice that to those around me. So when I was asked to introduce Monique, I immediately went to these two questions. What is her what, and what is her why? As a student organizer, she works as a youth activist at the Coalition Against Sexual Assault and Violence, as well as being a member of the Planned Parenthood Teen Council. Despite feeling that she fell into this work, it is her passion. Her why, as a first-generation Southeast Asian descent, she speaks for the marginalized communities in America. While every single one of us has a place in this work, she explains, those who have experienced systematic oppression are the only ones who can truly speak to their experiences and their needs. Because of this, she needs to be in this work. She needs to stand up for her experiences and the experiences of those around her. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Monique.
Hello? I want to first start by recognizing the youth power that was required to organize not just this event, but the corresponding ones all over the country. I want to recognize the survivors of Parkland, as I feel empowered to be a part of this youth effort to change the ways in which gun laws and regulations function within this country. I want to recognize the youth here now, and how we are collectively choosing to be in community, to use our time, our energy, and our voices to advocate and fight for issues that are affecting us right now. Before I officially begin speaking on my perspective regarding this topic, I want to talk a little bit about a term that I will be using throughout this dialogue. A term that I have learned while doing this work is marginalized. This term is very rarely used outside of the social justice community. It is comparable to the term minorities. It's a catch-all term to describe people of certain identities and people from certain communities, whether it be people of color, people with disabilities, queer people, trans people, and so on and so forth. While I very well could use minorities to describe people, I do not feel that this term accurately describes or represents my own people and my own communities. I never want to think that because people are not a part of the majority, that they are less valuable or that their experiences are not important. I wanted to focus on this briefly as I want to open up a conversation on how gun violence affects different communities, specifically communities of color and youth of color. When I think of the issues that arise with gun violence, I can't help but think about communities of color and other marginalized communities. I can't help but think about how we are often the ones experiencing this, yet our voices are not valued within conversations about these topics. People of color have been experiencing gun violence for an incredibly long time, and we've been present and active within efforts to create change. I want to address this as I can't help but think about how the Black Lives Matter movement has been advocating for stricter gun laws that are not recognized, not for their experiences, and certainly not for the work that they have done and the work that they continue to do. Black and brown people have been experiencing gun violence from the police and ICE. We see this on the news every time another black person is killed due to officers that are quick to label them as violent threats. We see this within our communities every time another person is forcibly removed from their homes and families and put into prison-like facilities by ICE. I feel that the work of Black and brown people is often labeled as angry or too radical, but this needs to change as we are experiencing very real aspects of gun violence. Regarding young people of color and how we experience gun violence, I immediately think about what it would be like if our teachers were to be armed. Youth of color have been experiencing and continue to experience racism in school environments. Dr. Monique Morris and the research that she has conducted regarding this show that youth of color, and especially young Black women, are on school-to-prison pathways due to the institutional racism that is ingrained in school systems and their administration. The education we gain is a different experience than our white counterparts. Racism we experience include higher rates of suspension, higher rates of expulsion, higher punishments from teachers, harsher discipline from SROs, a lack of safety and understanding. When it comes to the criminalization of young people of color in schools, it is clear that if teachers were to be armed or have access to firearms within the classroom, we, along with other marginalized identities, would be most negatively affected by this. This then arises the issue of who is actually using these weapons to harm people. The ones who are often perpetuating gun violence have historically been white men who in fact do not have mental illness, but simply have accessibility to firearms. Gun violence and its roots in white supremacy cannot be ignored. While many politicians and members of the NRA are placing blame on mental health of these individuals, they are simply doing this to detract from the fact that it is people's ability to get these weapons that is the issue, not their mental health. White supremacy can be seen within every system that exists within this country, and the history of weapons is no different. These are weapons that have been used against people of color to silence us, to make us less visible. These are weapons that we are too familiar with, yet our experiences are not recognized as being valid or real. Experiences have been the main focus of everything that I've been speaking about here today, and I've done this intentionally as I hope that even the slightest bit of understanding can be met with how people of color are affected by these issues. We need to start valuing the involvement of people of color, as our experiences need to be acknowledged. Experiences of marginalized communities need to be seen as factual. Experiences of marginalized communities need to be taken as truth. When we tell our stories, we are actively deciding to become vulnerable, to try and make connections, to try and create understanding. We should not have to give you a statistic to prove that we are experiencing pain. With issues of gun violence, people of color cannot be ignored. We need to be a part of these movements, and we need to be supported. That's right. Thank you.
All right. Boise High possesses one of the most dynamic and involved student leadership teams in the Valley. They dedicate countless hours during both their fourth period class and after school to plan events for the BHS community. This outstanding group of students is led by an individual who demonstrates her immense dedication to her community through her involvement. This senior of Boise High School serves as the all-student body president, works on the planning committee for the upcoming Bump and Boogie community event, and works as a youth supervisor for the Wild Hearts Idaho, a group dedicated to helping young girls cultivate strong leadership skills for their future through exploring Idaho's nature. She participated in our hashtag Enough is Enough film project and was featured for expressing immense care for her school. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Miss AC Norris.
Hello, my name is AC Norris. I'm 17 years old, a senior at Boise High School, and enough is enough. Many of my peers are here to speak about the heartbreak and anxiety that school violence imparts on students. I'm here to talk about our teachers, administrators, and support staff. Teachers who cannot be here with us today because they are bound by contracts, by codes of ethics, and by fear of reprisal. They too should have a voice. For many of us, we spend more time with our teachers than we do with our parents. We love them like family, and they love us back. They too are struggling to find comfort and to feel safe. Teachers stand in the shadows and shine a light on us, but today, I want to shine a light on them. This country has put so much on the shoulders of teachers. First it was bullying, then it was suicide, and always in between, they must answer for the failures of every generation and every politician's great idea about education. Enough is enough. It was a teacher who taught me about the Second Amendment, another who taught me about world history, and yet another who explained climate change. These people have taught me what it means to contribute to society, to be an intellectual, to be inclusive, and to envision a shared humanity. It was a teacher who instilled in me that continuing my education will help me one day have influence over policy that will prevent things of this nature from ever happening again. Gun violence is not for teachers to solve. Teachers are our best defense against hatred and violence. They teach us that strength comes from wisdom and power comes from within. We should reward them by paying off their student debt and giving them bonuses for mentoring, not for carrying a gun. If we really want to combat mental illness and destructive ideologies, the way to do it is education. Idaho lawmakers, spend our tax dollars on smaller classroom sizes, better pay for teachers, and more counselors and social workers. I had great history teachers, and I don't ever remember learning of a time when more weapons led to peace and protection. They are called assault rifles, not protection rifles. Enough is enough. Teachers and students in our state deserve better than to be left at the mercy of our legislators who refuse to do their job and protect us from gun violence. Let the teachers teach, let us children learn. Lawmakers, it is on you. Enough is enough.
Speaking next is a mother, a former high school teacher, and a Democratic activist. Over the years, she has ran a campaign consulting firm for Democratic candidates and has consulted many campaigns in other states, including writing Al Gore's campaign radio for the Pacific Northwest. She has spent many years as the government teacher at Bishop Kelly High School, mentoring and changing the lives of youth. As a former teacher, she understands the pressures and seriousness of gun violence and is fighting for the future today and every day. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jill.
And I'm a very elderly baby boomer. To speak here today, I think is the greatest honor of my life. I've been a Democratic activist in Idaho for 30 years, and for 30 years, I've been putting up with a state house full of legislators who don't often use logic, reason, and facts to make their decisions. We all know the facts about gun laws, so I want to talk about something else, especially to the adults here today. We have to acknowledge something. We failed these kids. We failed to get as mad and hurt and determined as they are about guns, slaughtering them and their friends, and we didn't rise up strongly as they have. We blew it. Our lack of courage helped make schools, which should be safe places, scarier and scarier over the years. Remember when you had your first child and you were learning and someone wise said to you, your basic job is just to keep the baby alive. And of course you did. Somewhere along the way, we dropped that ball. We're not keeping them alive. We didn't exactly sit by and do nothing. But it is the kids in Florida and their contagion to other kids in places like Boise, Idaho, that has finally sparked the kind of anger and drive needed to make this a national imperative. We failed them. We failed them, so now we owe them. And we're going to pay our dues, not ask them to pay theirs by doing things our way. That means listening to them and not imposing old political standards and tactics on them. Remember what Bill Clinton said, try something. If that doesn't work, try something else. These kids are right. They're right to try something else. Our way didn't work. We must encourage their spot-on natural instincts to disrupt, to stomp and yell and demand and call on each other to rise up, to do and organize and speak things differently than we would. Even when it makes us wince. And we must defend them and back them up when someone tries to stifle them or stop them. Let's not tell them to mind their manners. Let's not tell them to temper their words or be careful what you say. We don't want to offend so-and-so. They will shout, and rightly so, yeah? Well, we're offended we're being killed at school. With love and respect, let's tell them we are humbled and awed by them and that we will support their call to action. Enough is enough. And students, all the students here today, if you want our advice, we're right beside you. But if you don't, we're right beside you anyway. So everyone here who is not a student, this. We must and can do the logistical heavy lifting, so they are free to do strategy and action. Many of us are retired and have the time they don't. We must write the letters, make the phone calls, send the emails, register the voters, and literally walk the walk alongside them under their direction when they ask. It's the tedious, hard work of street-level political action like this today that is the most difficult thing to get people to do. If you talk politics on social media, you must back up your words with actually doing something. No more Facebook warriors. Words won't do it. There must be deeds.
Yeah, look, Hillary Clinton! Hillary for president!
Ignore them. If you can provide food for one of their meetings, do it. If a kid needs a ride, drive them. If they ask you to make 10 phone calls, do it. Heck, if the toilets need scrubbing at the meeting hall, scrub them. Who here will do it? Who will do the hard work? Who will sell a piece of your mother's jewelry or dig deep or give up something and give that money to a cause to save children, not guns? Raise your hand and say, I will. I will. I will. I will. Now one last thing. And if you take nothing away today, except this, make it this way. Will you listen? Are you really listening to a different generation and their ideas? One more time. I will! I will! Thank you very much.
Hakeem Prime. Hakeem Prime is a Boise-based singer-songwriter who uses his music to speak out about causes like #EnoughIsEnough. As a witness to a gun violence tragedy, he understands firsthand the importance of this movement. He is a father and just wants to protect his children from the unfortunate use of guns in our country. Please welcome Hakeem Prime.
Good morning, everyone. Today, we come here united to make change, to keep our schools safe, to take fear away from our students, parents, and administrators. Gun reform needs to happen. But let's be clear, disarming America is not our passion. But to reshape our founding rules and sidelines. Back in 2015, I visited some family in Florida. As I arrived, I heard wind that a little girl, my 2-year-old cousin-in-law, was shot and killed. Now, no one knew what happened at this time. But as time flew, we understand that a 19-year-old boy went to a local gun store and purchased a weapon. Now, when they sold him this weapon, they did not know that this particular boy had mental health issues. He didn't graduate middle school or high school. Again, gun reform needs to happen. This little girl didn't even get to go to pre-K. Since 2018, there has been now 25 mass shootings. If you're here, you want that change. Better yet, if you're here, you want your kids to be safe. You want your peers to be safe. Again, I'm Hakeem Prime, singer-songwriter of Boise, Idaho. Let's walk.
It's not easy to stand behind this podium, so let's give one more round of applause to all the speakers today. It took a lot of effort to put this event together today, but seeing you all here makes all that work so worth it.
It is very true that our country has been through enough gun violence and lost enough lives to this epidemic. Change has begun, and we will continue the fight to keep the future students of America safe from what we've been forced to normalize.
Now we would like to start a moment of silence for all of the children that we've lost in the process. We ask that in this process, you lay down as a symbol of respect for all the students that we've lost.
Please join us in silence as we read the names of only just a fraction of the students we've lost over the years. Rachel Scott, Daniel Robo, Dave Sanders, Kyle Velasquez, Stephen Kerno, Cassie Bernal, Isaiah Shoels, Matthew Ketcher, Lauren Townsend, John Tomlin, Kelly Fleming, Daniel Mauser, Corey DePuter, Charlotte Bacon, Daniel Barden, Rachel Davino, Olivia Engel, Josephine Gay, Anna M. Marquez Green, Dylan Hoffley, Don Hochstrom, Madeline Hu, Catherine V. Hubbard, Chase Kowalski, Jesse Lewis, James Mattoli, Grace McDonald, Annie Marie Murphy, Emily Parker, Jack Pinto, Noah Posner, Caroline Praviti, Jessica Rakos, Avil Richmond, Lauren Razoo, Mary Sherlock, Victoria Soto, Benjamin Wheeler, Allison N. Wyatt, Alyssa Aldahef, Scott Beagle, Martin Duke Anguino, Nicholas Dorrit, Aaron Feast, Jamie Guttenberg, Chris Hickson, Luke Hoyer, Kara Logren, Gina Montalto, Joaquin Oliver, Alana Petty, Meadow Pollock, Helena Ramsey, Alex Satcher, Carmen Shentrup, Peter Way, Gia Serino, Zoe Galasso, Shaylee Chuck Kawansit, Andrew Freiberg, Naomi Rose Eversole, Marion Fisher, Anna Soltfus, Lena Miller, and Mary Miller. Thank you all for honoring those we've lost with us here today. Now, as we prepare to conclude the event, here is Colette discussing future ways to get involved in your community. Thank you guys so much for participating in the moment of silence. Before we conclude this event, I want to reiterate something. If you leave here knowing anything, I want it to be that your voice will not be lost in a country of millions of people. Your presence will not be ignored if you will it not to be. You can create change you wish to see with your own two hands, and I encourage you all to do so. This part is going to be a little bit unscripted. There are a few events coming up that I really want to encourage you all to attend. Tomorrow, we will be flooding the Capitol building from 11:30 to 12:30 for Medicaid expansion. On the 24th of March, it is the March for Our Lives, and I encourage you all to go there. Again, thank you all so much for attending. Your presence means everything. And now we encourage you all, if you have time, we were going to head into the Capitol and sit in the chambers during the session. Thank you.
That'll do it for our live coverage here at the state capitol in Boise. Again, students from across the Boise School District here behind me at the state capitol. They walked out at 10 a.m. We walked with them all the way over to the Capitol. We heard Paulette Jordan speaking. We heard a few students speaking, and a pretty big day here at the Capitol. We will have continuing coverage of all the walkouts across the Treasure Valley and across the state of Idaho coming up first on the news at noon, and continuing coverage this afternoon on the KTVB afternoon news. Of course, we'll also have everything online at ktvb.com. It's almost noon, I think. It's about, let's see, it's 11:07. So coming up on the news at noon, we'll be here live from the Capitol. We'll have some live reaction here from some of the students that are part of this event. We'll be talking to people that are here, but also know that we have other reporters across the valley today that were at events that happened.
Because I'm sad to say, I don't think we did a really great job, but you guys are so much better and smarter. I tell you that every day. You're so much better and smarter than us. And the future rests in your hands. Love one another, appreciate one another, and hopefully this will never happen again. Thank you.
After watching the State of the Union a couple months ago and realizing the lack of support from the government from issues that affect each and every one of us, I wrote this poetry piece as a response. They say you can always trust the hand that feeds you, nurtures you, holds you when the men with stakes come for you. What of that hand? They handed us books
Do the calls, and it's not just like me doing all these calls, because we want to make sure they get the constituents and what they believe.
And do you have a message for the students of Parkland?
So what was that?
A message for the students of Parkland.
Hashtag never again. We stand with you. We will never let this happen to anyone else again.
And has there been an issue of, has guns been an issue here at the school for you?
Not necessarily at this school, but I do know other schools do have those issues. Other schools do have problems with that. And so, like, other schools in this valley do have problems with that. ATEC is a little bit of a safer environment, but I have speech and debate with students who go to school in schools that have stabbings, and they see blood on the floor, and they have shootings, and they see, like, they're in lockdowns for hours and hours, and so trying to end that violence.
Silence, end the violence, no more 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 silence.
Hi, so this is Amber Jamison. I'm a reporter from BuzzFeed News. We're here at the Advanced Technology Academy in Las Vegas, where students have walked out and are chanting the words "No more violence, end the violence." Obviously, I'm not that chat. I'll have to hear it again. And they're also calling state legislators to ask for more gun reform. How are you gonna write this?
Call somebody.
Yet we ignore about 11,000 guns. That's just a food for thought there. So thank you for listening to me.
It's a student who's been making a call to a state legislator.
Yeah.
But then again, this is rather $1.9 billion. You don't think it's the best educational system? I'm very proud that everyone's standing here today. We are all leaders of the future. Today we will take a stand. Frankly, I'm sick and tired of seeing all these messages trending on Twitter and being headlined all over the internet. If we don't push gun control at this very moment, then these shootings will just be normal to our daily lives. And think about all the first graders excited to learn about the world and how beautiful life is. And all of a sudden, boom, another shooting happens. But we can't let these sick-minded individuals get a hold of these weapons. Or let me argue that we don't have the wisdom or we're doing this just because. But we start high school at 14 years old. Nothing about this movement is just because we feel like it. We are the future. This is the fight of our lives, every day of our life. And even if it will change, even if change won't happen now, our generation won't stay silent forever. Change will happen and it will start with us.
Hey guys, my name is Anna Jamison. I'm a reporter at BuzzFeed News. Can you just talk to me a little bit about why you guys are out here protesting today?
It's more because, like, we're tired of the massacres, and we don't think it's right to have guns with stick-minded individuals, like Stevie has said before, and we're tired of it.
So what's your name as well? Can you spell your name out? Can you spell your name for me?
Jayden Haywood.
And how old are you?
I'm 16.
Are you a senior or a junior here at school?
I'm a junior.
And do you have a message for the students of Parkland?
Oh, we need to stand together to fight this battle, because alone we won't be able to win.
Okay, so the poster that Claudia's holding, I made that last night, and I realized as I was filling in the shootings on the poster last night that these events, these deaths, were all people. All innocent people living their normal lives. This was a revelation for me
become unfazed to these mass shootings. Every time one occurs, I feel less and less. Even when it happened in my own city, it felt hard for me to see the impact. This cannot happen anymore. We cannot grow accustomed to the shooting of the weak. It's dehumanizing. If no change occurs, these shootings and this effect won't cease. So we have to fight. We have to protest. We have to do anything we can to stay vigilant and emotional. And most importantly, we have to send a message to our congressman.
Can you guys put a thumbs up if you can hear me? Thank you. 98. This is the number of people who die every day by gun violence. 98 lives lost, 98 futures cut short, 98 sets of parents who will never see their children again.
We supposedly live in the freest, most democratic country in the world. America, the land of opportunity, where anyone can do anything. But a country where people can't feel safe in their homes, schools, movie theaters, sports arenas, that is not democracy. A country where politicians sell our safety to the gun lobby for campaign contributions, that is not democracy. A country where at any given second, any one of us can be gunned down by one of the 310 million guns on the street, that is not democracy.
We live in a terrifying time. We are a society in fear. Every morning, I watch my sister leave for school. Due to the inaction of our government, I have to worry if she will be one of 98 that day. When I get home, I'm relieved to find her unharmed, but my worrying continues. Other kids are not as lucky. There are too many kids in this country who witness gun violence on a daily basis in their communities. Day after day I worry, and day after day nothing is done.
We essentially live in an authoritarian dictatorship run by the National Rifle Association. Politicians like Speaker of the House Paul Ryan and Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell are standing in the way of bipartisan legislation because of the dirty money given to them. We have a corrupt system that needs upheaval. Background checks and a 72-hour waiting period for gun purchases are common sense reform. In fact, in a recent study reported on by Time magazine, 97% of Americans believe in the need for reform. Yet nothing has changed. Bills aren't being debated on based on their merits, but on how the NRA feels that day.
We will no longer stand for these injustices. We will no longer watch our classmates be shot and killed day after day. We must fight. We must fight to protect ourselves against senseless gun violence. We must fight for sensible gun laws. At a minimum, we must fight to increase the age to buy an assault rifle to 21. We must fight to completely ban bump stocks. We must fight, and that starts right here, right now.
The first and most important thing we can do is to vote. Voting is an incredible power endowed to us by our founders, and it remains the single most important tool we possess to create change. We are the next generation of voters. We hold this power. So register to vote, and then go to the polls. Vote for candidates that support sensible gun control. Vote for the people that promise to protect us.
The next thing we can do, even as teens, is to lobby our representatives. Write letters, make phone calls, visit in person. Push for what an overwhelming majority of people agree with. Even one 5-minute phone call can make a tremendous difference.
Finally, continue protesting. Attend more events like this one. Thousands of people are impossible to ignore, even for politicians well-versed in ignoring the public will. There's a march downtown on March 24th. There's another one on April 20th. If you can't make those, start your own. Who knows? Your protest could be the one that saves our country.
We are gathered outside here this morning to do the work that adults should be doing for us. We are here to show our politicians that what is going on in our country is not acceptable. We are here to show the world that our lives are not something that can be sold off to the NRA.
98 died yesterday. 98 will die today. But with your help, there will be 0 tomorrow. Thank you.
Grades up, guns down. Grades up, guns down. Grades up, guns down.
Grades up, guns down. Grades up, guns down. Grades up, guns down. Grades up, guns down.
I'm Miriam Schweiger. I'm a senior here at Hamilton. It's not right that when the wind blows open the door to my government classroom, I'm terrified it will be holding a gun. It's not right that my neck is sore from being craned to look for 6 different places I can hide in 6 different classrooms for each of my 6 periods. It's not right that keeping people alive has become a partisan issue, and that when I think of the Republican Party, I think of red. And not because it's their official color, but because of the millions of blood-stained dollars its leaders accept annually from the NRA. It's not right that Americans only started giving a damn about gun violence now because it's mostly white kids leading this movement. It's not right that acquiring a gun is easier than passing calculus, and though I'm not doing either right now, one is ending lives while the other is just disappointing Miss Alvarez. It's not right that the NRA has canned lessons for preschoolers on how to stay safe in the case of an active shooter, but hasn't been able to recognize that maybe those wouldn't be necessary if it weren't for the majority of their services. It's not right that the Second Amendment is touted as a core aspect of America's founding when really this country was built on the necessary and proper clause of the Constitution. It is necessary and proper to regulate guns. It is necessary and proper to replace obsolete legislation. It is necessary and proper to fight like hell for others and to make sure that Hamilton High School is not part of the next Thoughts and Prayers hashtag. Because this much loss of innocent life isn't normal, and it most definitely is not right. So I am begging you, call your representatives, educate your family and friends, and take to the streets. So the next time the wind blows open the door to my government classroom, my breath won't catch on its unoiled hinges. Hey, NRA, how many have you killed today?
Hey, NRA, how many have you killed today? Hey, NRA, how many have you killed today? Hey, NRA, how many have you killed today? Hey, NRA, how many have you killed today?
we don't have any power. The reason we feel powerless is because we don't know how things work. But as we grow up and we learn more and more, we are shown the power that we hold. The students of Parkland have been forced to grow up in a single day. In that day, they found strength in speaking out. They found strength in standing up. They found strength in shaming adults into being adults. Our generation is starting a new wave of activism. We have the ability to summon outrage. Outrage that transforms into progress. Progress that transforms into reform. Students today are overcoming their fear and diving headfirst into confronting authority. We are becoming the change we wish to see. Our young voices are loud. We speak with vitriol towards those who refuse to take action. Join me on March 24th to march for our lives and demand legislation to prevent gun violence. Stand tall, hold your head up high, and keep your voice loud. Washington will hear you. But if you want to take action, the best way to affect change is to cast your vote. Elect the officials that you believe in. Elect the officials who you want to represent you. Juniors and seniors are between the ages of 16 and 18. In the state of California, citizens between these ages are able to pre-register to vote and, at 18, vote in any and all elections. On April 5th, Hamilton High School will be hosting a voter registration drive. This is your chance to fulfill your civic duty. But for those who can't yet vote, take action now. Write to your representatives. Call their offices. Tell them how you feel. Let them know how much you care. Because this is our future, and we have to take control. You have a voice before you can vote. And that voice only gets louder when your vote is cast. Thank you. We want action. We want change. High schools aren't a shooting range.
We want action. We want change. High schools aren't a shooting range. We want action. We want change. High schools aren't a shooting range. We want action. We want change. High schools aren't a shooting range. We want action. We want change. High schools aren't a shooting range. We want action. We want change. High schools aren't a shooting range.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
And I'm a sophomore here at Hamilton High School. I'll be delivering a poem. I wrote it.
Martin Anguiano, Nicholas Dort,
Aaron Faith, Jamie Gutenberg.
Chris Harrington, and Luke Peter.
Joaquin Oliver, Elena Petty.
Meadow Pollock, Helena Ramsey.
Alex Natchner, Carmen Kenstra.
Violence rules! Violence rules! Violence rules! Violence rules! Violence rules! Violence rules! Guns are cool and we got guns in our school!
Due to gun violence, just 1 minute, please.
performances, a moment of silence, shout-outs to the mayor of San Francisco who's here, and now students are running a voter registration clinic and a letter writing campaign to representatives that are funded by the NRA, to the NRA itself, and then they'll be marching to City Hall. They'll be marching to City Hall to meet up with other high schools.
11 a.m. So please stay on campus. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Melissa McNeil on behalf of Nicholas Cruz. Diane Cuddy on behalf of Mr. Cruz.
Chef Marcus for the state of Florida.
And Sharon Tate for the state of Florida.
Your Honor, Alex Arias on behalf of the Borges family that's the victim.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Cruz, you've been charged by indictment in count 1 of the indictments with murder in the first degree of Luke Hoyer, a first-degree felony punishable by up to death, as the state has filed its notice of intent to seek the death penalty in this case. Count 2.
Your Honor, we're weighing formal reading of the indictment at this time. We have been provided with a copy of the indictment from the state of Florida. We have reviewed that indictment with Mr. Cruz. He is aware of the charges that he is facing.
The only issue is how do you stand mute and waive formal reading?
In terms of entering a plea, we stand mute, Your Honor.
Any objection to the waiving formal reading?
No objection.
Okay.
Your Honor, can I be heard on the matter though before you arraign?
I'm sorry.
Can I be heard on I had filed 2 motions before, and I thought they had to be heard before the arraignment could take
Mr.
place.
Arias, I'm aware of your motions. I got them this morning. Whether or not you have standing, I don't know, but certainly the parties have to have the opportunity to respond, and I'm not going to throw this on them at the last minute to respond to your motion to disqualify. I guess the whole circuit is what you're wanting to do. Is that correct?
It is, Your Honor. It's outlined in the motion, so if you're going to put it on for another day, I'll explain that to the Borges family, if that's what you're saying.
What I'm saying is I need an opportunity to review it.
I understand.
And then I will make my decision as to whether or not I want the parties to respond or I'm going to set a hearing. Okay? The only other matter I think that needs to be addressed today is okay, so if you're waiving formal reading and you're standing mute, pursuant to Rule 3.170C, a plea of not guilty shall be entered on the defendant's behalf on all 34 counts of the indictment.
We're standing up against Trump and also other people that are like don't think that it's much of a big deal, and our voices can't really be like our voices don't even matter. Like it's like they're thinking that they're like, oh, we're kids, we don't know anything, but really we do. We know about the government. We know how it works. We're not stupid.
Thank you. What's your name?
Uta.
And Uta, have you been personally affected by school shootings in the past and gun violence?
No, I don't think so. But there was one recently that happened a couple months ago. It wasn't really a shooting. It was just a kid from Academy that brought a gun into school.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So that was kind of scary.
Yeah.
They told us to stay off campus because there was a school shooter, I think.
Yeah.
So that was pretty scary. I didn't know how to handle that. And most people, they weren't taking it seriously.
Oh really?
And it was they were just laughing. They didn't think it was a big deal, but really it is.
Yeah, somebody brings a gun to school.
Scary.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me.
The copy that I provided the state is unredacted. I'm not concerned with them releasing that information without redacting it.
Okay,
But
what is it exactly that I'm looking at?
these are the documents that the Public Defender's Office has obtained over the course of the last month in an effort to make a determination as to whether or not Mr. Cruz is in fact indigent. We, as the court is aware, we were appointed on February 15th of this year, and immediately thereafter, there was a lot of media attention as to alleged assets that Mr. Cruz or the estate of Linda Cruz had, that due to her death, he would be a beneficiary of those monies. So as a result of that, we reached out. We know that there was a medical malpractice lawsuit that was filed on behalf of Linda Cruz and the children as a result of Roger Cruz's death. We made efforts to obtain a copy of that court file, and we're advised today that the clerk's office has purged the medical malpractice lawsuit. I provided a copy of the certificate from the clerk's office as well, provided it to the state. So we were not able to inquire into the contents of that file.
Walk out to support against the guns, because we all know the school shooting affected all of us and affected many lives. And so we want to put we want to stop the gun violence that's going on in schools. So we came out here today to give the support. It's like to give a message to the Congress and everybody that we are the ones who are going to be voting on the gun laws.
What's your name?
Eduardo.
Eduardo, and what, are you a senior?
No, I'm an 11th grader.
11th grader?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. What's your name? I'm Jasmine. Jasmine? What? Oh, there's a lot of horn talking. Why did you decide to walk out today?
I decided to walk out because I wanted to support the millions of the 17 lives that were taken away, as well as their families, because like they're the ones suffering, they're the ones like trying to move on, and basically it's unfair for them, and it affects everyone, not just the families as well.
Thank you. That's loud. Hey guys, Brianna with BuzzFeed News. I am at Hamilton High School here in LA, and we're in the middle of a big walkout where there's a lot of student speeches going on. So I've been chatting with students about why they decided to join the movement. Yeah, BuzzFeed, you guys want to join? Want to say hi? Yeah. So anyway, I'm going to be talking with students and also listening to some speeches. So join in. You guys want to say why you walked out today?
Sure, I'll say why I walked out.
Okay, why did you walk out?
I walked out because I want real change in. Where do I look? I don't know. I've never done this, but I want real change on specific things, on specifically and majority wise. I mean, there's bump stocks and there's high capacity magazines and there's raising the age limit, but specifically, I want change in assault rifle bans all across the country. This isn't just a school shooting; there's shootings all across America, and it's a uniquely American problem. Gun violence, it is. And I mean, what's happening up there is really great, and we have a voice. But I don't know if we're using it right when we talk about that we want change and that we are upset, because of course we're upset, and of course school shootings shouldn't happen. They shouldn't happen anywhere. But is the way we're going to change that telling people that we don't want shootings because everyone doesn't want shootings, or telling them how we're going to stop shootings?
How should we stop shootings?
I think that the legislation that was given to us, I don't think it's anything. I think it's complete BS. I think that we need to focus on the real change that we can do. I think stricter crackdowns on illegal bump stocks, no high capacity magazines, no military grade weapons for anybody. No civilian needs a military grade weapon in any country anywhere. That's just a ridiculous thing to say.
Why do you think people are so like attached to like what they say is their right to have one of these?
Well, interestingly enough, the biggest argument that I've heard anyway from my family in more conservative areas is that they don't trust the government and they need to defend themselves if other people like the government were to come for them, and also just blatantly believe anything that they're told by the government, just obvious lies. Like, I mean, you can get political about all the scandals that are happening, but you're being lied to daily by the government, and those people the people who believe it are also the people who say they need to defend themselves against it.
Do you feel safe going to school?
no, I don't feel safe going to school, but just as well, I don't feel safe going anywhere in this country. Because guns are all over the place, and it's not just troubled teenagers who want revenge back at their school. It's troubled people everywhere that want revenge on the world and on the way anything has failed them. There are shootings all over the place all the time, and it's a lot harder to shoot places up if you don't have military-grade weapons that are designed to shoot multiple targets at a time. That's not something civilians need.
What was your name?
Cedar Gary.
Cedar Gary, and
Cedar
you are
Gary.
a senior, junior?
Sophomore.
Sophomore, nice, awesome. Okay, well, it's nice to meet you. Hang on, let me get your, is it just C-E-D-A-R-G-A-R-Y?
G-E-A-R-Y.
G-E-A-R-Y. It was awesome to meet you, Cedar.
You too.
Hey, guys.
Hi. Sorry.
No, you're good. What's your name?
Amaya Mabson.
And why did you walk out today?
I walked out because it's ridiculous that children younger than me are dying every day, and nobody does anything about it, and it's nothing that we can do. It's up to us to find a way to fix this problem.
And what do you feel safe going to school?
I don't even know anymore, to be honest. I mean, I thought it was okay to go to school. I thought that people weren't going to be shot up at their own schools in front of their friends and their families are scared and think that it's just something that's normal now.
Yeah. And what grade are you in?
I'm a junior.
Junior. And do you know anyone whose lives have been impacted by gun violence in LA?
I don't, but my father was in the Army and he works for the government, and I don't feel like we're doing enough for any of this. I don't think that the government is doing enough. I don't think anybody is doing enough to help these students that are dying, and these people, not even just students, random people, teachers, students. It's ridiculous.
What is your message to Parkland survivors?
I think that we should do something to help these people, and that the more people who join this cause can help us stop gun violence.
Thank you so much. Nice to meet you. That's an awesome. Can I take a picture of that? That's great. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. If you're just joining me, Brianna with BuzzFeed. We just concluded, well, the walkout's still going on, but they just included a bunch of student speeches. This is Miriam. Hi. She just gave one, so we're going to go chat as to what inspired you to speak and basically help construct this whole thing.
Hi, I'm Pearl's mom.
Oh, hi.
Hi. Good to see you. They're filming this. Yeah.
All right.
Good to see you.
Okay.
My daughter has my violin.
Oh, that's funny. All right, right here is great.
Okay.
Okay. Hi, guys. Okay, so yeah, if you could say your name for me. And
I'm Miriam Schweiger.
Schweiger. Okay. And so what made you decide to join the walkout and want to speak today?
A couple of things. First of all, it's just absurd to me that guns are still a problem that we're dealing with, that people have. The thing is, it's not even about the Second Amendment anymore. The Second Amendment says to form a well-regulated militia. People coming into schools and shooting, that's not a well-regulated militia. Finish reading the amendment before doing this. Also, it's just, I personally felt like I should speak, and I should advocate because I do have a place of privilege. I am a white girl. I am middle class. I am socioeconomically advantaged, and I think it's up to me to help fight for other people because it's so much worse for them. It's so much worse for people.
I'm assuming
And like, it's just absurd. Also, marching to make Emma Gonzalez proud. I'm in love with Emma Gonzalez.
What is your message to the Parkland survivors?
My message to the Parkland survivors is... That's so hard. I don't know. It's just that, like, I can't imagine ever being in their place. It is so empowering to see them rising up and speaking out and writing music. I think it's so important to bring creative things out of tragedy, and I think that has the most power to affect change out of anything. So it's really, really amazing to me what they're doing, and I think to everyone.
Awesome. Thank you.
If you want to get rid of gangs, you have to eliminate the conditions that provide for gangs. We have to divest from the police and invest in giving opportunities to these people, because the reason that people turn to gangs is they have no other way to support their lives. And in these certain neighborhoods, you have to click up if you want to survive. So we need to provide opportunities for these underserved communities so that they can have jobs, so that they aren't forced to turn to these underground economic systems. And the way that we do that, and policing is part of that problem, because policing serves to isolate those people so that they cannot get the jobs they need to succeed in this capitalistic system. So if we want to support these people, we have to divest from police and invest in actual people.
Do you guys have anything you want to say?
You know, she touched on our whole group, our whole entire group, and what we're about. We are Students Deserve, and we just and Black Lives Matter, and we just want to touch, and that's what she wanted to touch on, and that's what we as well wanted to touch on. So thank you.
Can I ask you guys one question? Can you just talk for a minute about the word freedom and how I personally feel that the NRA, the head of the NRA, and a lot of the right wing have sort of taken that word. If you were to take back that word freedom, what would you say?
Equity. I live in lower conditions. So if you treat me with equity to elevate my position so that I am equal to you, that is correct. But equality is equivalent to color blindness. You know, when people say, I don't see color, I treat all people the same. But I can't be treated the same as you because I do not have the same rights as you. So I need to be elevated to you. And until we have equity, we will not have freedom.
What do you guys think about freedom? Thank you.
What I feel about freedom, I just feel like, what freedom to me is like not putting me on, like, when I walk out in the street, I feel like the way I look or the way I present myself is more of a you're this, you're that. So we're gonna what is that? Criminalize. Yeah, criminalize it. So instead of using, you know, black or nigger or, you know, just racist terms, they just throw criminal on our back and say, oh, they're a criminal. So that's what I feel like freedom is. Like, not freedom is, but I feel like we should take that and just like stop criminalizing us because of our color and how we look and the way we dress.
And if you guys were to be a little looser about your particular movement and just think about the gun violence in general and the idea of freedom and gun violence, what would you say?
What do you mean looser?
Just talk. In the broadest sense, like, how do you feel? How would you feel more free if you walked into a school? What would help you feel more free?
The end of random searches.
Yes, the end of random searches. Well, the end of random searches is basically like they're taking their racial profiling students. When I go to school, they always check the black students, the minorities' backpacks, and every time I go to class, and they're never pulling out a white kid because honestly, it's like, you know, half of the shootings are done by
more than half.
Yeah, all of them basically. Every shooting that I've heard of has been done by people who are not of color. And it's like they're taking our bags and checking us when the students who are not of color have the stuff, like, you know, so it's like just end it, because it's like they're spending $500,000 for what? For nothing, just for random searches and all.
And then I don't know if that was before or after. I think it was before the school shooting. And then I'm on the bus and my dad tells me about this, and I just found it like really scary. I had fun. I went down with a high school, and I went down all the way to Case, and I just had a great time marching.
And how did you feel when you see these school shootings and students getting killed? How does that make you feel?
Honestly, like, in class today, I wrote down, like, just saying, how someone like that could do something like just kill a bunch of 17 people in a school that they went to. Like, what makes them think that? Like, I just can't believe that they're alive. Like there's there's survivors. It makes me super sad.
Good job, baby. Tell them.
That's great. Thanks.
Okay.
I want to have you over here a little bit.
Hi.
This way. Just step this way. A little closer. Okay. Just shuffle this way. Perfect. Just like that. All right.
Hi.
And pull your hood back a little bit so I can see your face a little bit more. Perfect. All right. And you look at me. What's your name?
My name is Brene Bernard.
Could you spell both names for me?
BRE_NAEBENARD.
And tell me what you thought, why you're out here. What message you want?
Okay, I'm out here because I'm trying to spread the word about gun violence. Gun violence has been terrible. We are probably one of the most impacted states ever compared to other states. So I think that's wrong, and I feel like we should protest about it because it's very important.
And when you hear about the school shootings, what went through your mind?
I was like, oh my gosh, are you serious? I don't know why someone as young as the kids would start shooting up and go into the places and just start working a massacre. That's not okay. That's really not okay. And for the people who is going through the loss of their family members, I'm so sorry for them. I really am, because trauma hits people at the most unexpected moments, and I feel like that's just very sad to hear.
How old are you?
I'm 12, turning 13.
Okay, that's all I needed. Thanks. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Because of what he decided to do. And a lot of times I hear my uncle say, in order to survive, in order for me to keep a gun on my side, I have to, if I hear somebody saying, oh, I'm about to kill him, I have to kill him first in order to get there. So it's like he has to protect himself because he doesn't want to die, because he has a son and a daughter. So now he has to kill this person before the person comes to him. So all I'm saying is, if my uncle's, looking at this, because his daughter BuzzFeed, I love you, but all I'm saying is, it's a lot of times black on black crimes come because they're scared of somebody. Like my sister said, she said in her poem, they're traded in their white sheets for badges, So my uncle's scared of the police.
What do you think of this Never Again movement now?
I think it comes from a good place. Yeah. I really do, because, these kids, no one should have to die like this. We all agree on that. Yeah. We all agree on that. We just believe that this is not an effective solution to that. Because there's already a huge underground economy for guns. And if we enact more gun control, it's just like when we make drugs illegal, that's going to create more crime and violence around getting guns on the black market. And especially people of means have always been able to get this stuff, and people that don't have means have to turn to more violent ways to get it. It's just like when abortion was illegal. Women that were rich could always get it, and women that were poor, or people with uteruses that were poor, had to go to illegal means to get it, and that's what caused death. So gun control is not an effective solution so that we don't have tragedies like this again. We need to prevent the shootings before they happen and eliminate the need for guns on campus.
And do you guys have a message for the Parkland survivors? Is there something if you wanted to say? Or
I just want to say, I'm so impressed by the way that they have managed to not be it's because it's hard to downward spiral when you're in that situation, and they haven't, and I've never experienced that, but I just, I admire them.
People from past Hamilton High School classes are commenting and saying hi, by the way. Yeah, did you guys know anything you wanted to add, or if there's anything you think I didn't ask that would be shared?
I want to tell the survivors, stay strong, and you're leading this new movement for us, you know? The children are the future, and our generation, we're growing and we're changing things. So I'm really appreciative for you guys, and thank you.
And just include all of us. Include all of us in it.
Minority.
Yes.
Color.
Include all of us.
Happening to all of us.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll walk back with you guys. I'm gonna get a photo real fast. I literally like this whole double phone situation. Okay. Awesome. Yeah, I'll come this way. I'm sorry. It's a little easier. And would you mind spelling or saying your names?
If the clerk can certify them. I can. That's fine. That's fine. I can send some. Are you going to be over there this afternoon? Okay. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. 77. Okay.
Speakers so people could hear us, which is nice.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, and everyone, the crowd really got engaged, which was awesome. People were chanting with us.
And will you guys say your names for the just and your years?
Yeah. I'm Ari Elkins. I'm a senior here at Hamilton High School.
I'm Josh Furman. I'm also a senior.
Okay. And what motivated you guys to? I know Ari, you said this became like a group of 6, but to start the walkout at your school.
Well, I actually had friends who went to high school at Stoneman Douglas, and so I was really upset to hear that happened at their school. And we currently live in a time where Congress has a role to protect us, the students. We as kids should not feel scared to go into our schools. And so I was just really upset with what's been happening in our country, and I felt like it was, if no one's going to do it, I need to be the person to say something. We need to be the people to rise up and say something. So we're here now.
And even though I've never been personally affected by gun violence, it's always been the issue probably I'm most passionate about. I think that the laws in our country are crazy, and that for some reason, I can't place it why, this is the time, these past 2 years are the time when things that haven't changed in decades are changing. We saw that with the Time's Up and the Me Too movement, and so this seemed like the moment to pounce and to really try to make a difference.
And do you have a message for Parkland survivors?
We're here with you. We're sorry for your loss, but we aren't just going to stop with mourning and telling you how sorry we are. We're going to make action with you and come together and fight to end gun violence for once and for all.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to probably sign off, and then I'll ask you guys some follow-up questions. Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, again, this is Brianna, BuzzFeed News. I'm going to sign off here from Hamilton High School in Los Angeles, where we just attended about an hour walkout with over 2,000 students, which was pretty insane. And yeah, so see you guys later.
Professor Hawking, it's an honor and a privilege to meet you.
Cars are moving. They're gonna go meet with students from.
Like, I don't get it. Like, you know.
Oh! You're right. He's down! Okay, don't antagonize. Don't antagonize. Down! Stay left. Stay left.
We're almost 15 o'clock.
On the other fucking side. Oh, you're on there.
Try to get on the sidewalk, please. Come on.
in all societies. supporting each of you to make sure that common sense gun reform and restrictions get put in place that will keep all of our communities safe, and you are the future for us. You all will be getting us.
Because of you. You are change. You are the change. Say it with me. You are the change. We are the change. We are the change. Thank you. Keep going.
All right, please welcome Melissa Sargent.
Hello, everyone. My name is Melissa Sargent, and I am the state representative here in the Capitol building. I need you to know that because of you, change is happening. Your voices are being heard. I have unfortunately heard from so many students across the city of Madison that they are afraid that their voices are not being heard. But I can assure you that the movement here in Madison and those all across our great country are being led by students just like you, who are linking arms and saying, it is not okay that we have grown up in a generation of school shootings. It is not okay, and enough is enough. Our lives are worth more. You are powerful. You are causing this change to happen in a way that my colleagues and I in the state capitol building have not been able to. And it is because of every single one of you who is working together. You are fabulous and you are powerful, and you are the sea of change that is going to travel around our country. Something unique is happening here. It's not going to be easy. There are days when you will be frustrated. There will be days when you will be annoyed. There will be days when you will feel like it is not making a difference. But I assure you, look at the people standing next to you. Look at each and every one of them. You are the change makers that we have all been looking for, and I am so proud of each and every one of you. And I will elevate your voices in any way that I can so that the laws in the state of Wisconsin and the laws across this great nation reflect what all of us know, that your lives matter and you deserve to be safe in your parks, in your schools, as you play and as you recreate with your friends. You are our leaders, and I am here to follow you. Thank you very much.
So those legislators are in this Capitol building. They represent us, and they are here. So if you have a demand, go talk to them, call their offices, email their offices, make an appointment. You guys can use your voice and talk to them.
Power to the people! Power to the people! Yeah, let's go! Okay, so our next speaker right now, they're from Derail the Jail, and they are amazing. Let's give it up for Jury!
Hello, everybody. My name is Jury, and I am a youth organizer from Freedom Inc. I am queer, gender non-conforming youth, and I am a youth surviving in Madison. Today I will be speaking out about what safety should look like for black and brown youth, because being black and brown in Madison is not easy. In fact, it's not easy being black in most parts of the United States. When talking about gun violence and gun control, we have to talk about the impact it has on black bodies. I want to be able to walk in my community without being seen as someone who is suspicious because of the clothes I wear or told that I am too loud. I want to be able to walk in my community without being harassed by people who are afraid of me because of my skin color. I want to walk in my neighborhood without being stopped by police. I want to see more black youth outside, but even playing at the park will get a black child beaten, harassed, and even in some cases shot and gunned down by police. On February 26, 2012, Trayvon Martin was followed, chased, tackled, and shot by not an officer but George Zimmerman, a man who was allowed to carry a gun. Zimmerman claimed to be scared and killed a black teenager. March 6th of 2015, someone I can still call my brother, Tony Robinson, who was an unarmed black teen from Madison, was shot by Officer Matt Kinney in his home. Kinney claimed that Tony attacked him when forensics say that it's not possible due to locations of the shots. I am afraid because the police are in our schools now, and when we get afraid of us, they'll shoot us too. Having no cops in school is a form of gun control. The police have proven that they cannot be trusted with and without guns, so why should we have cops in our schools? So today, I want us not only to talk about gun control, but also why cops are in our school. That is what the Freedom Youth Squad at Freedom Inc. is doing. As youth of color, we need to know that our safety is a priority. This is why we are demanding that cops should be taken out of school and demand that schools invest the money in for cops to be used towards youth of color and make sure that we are provided with necessary supplies, food, support, and resources that we need to thrive. And that all families and students have control over school discipline and safety. Come join us Sunday from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Festival Fields Community Room. Freedom Ring in DL to Jail is hosting a student organization event called Expel Cops from Our School. Come learn and share stories about cops in schools and fight for our schools safely without destroying lives of black and brown youth. And remember, you can't talk about gun control without talking about the impact it has on black and brown bodies. Thank you. All power to the people!
When I was in kindergarten, my mom began to prepare me for what to do in the event of a shooting. If the shooter was close range, I was supposed to duck on the ground. If I was far away enough, I needed to run away and zigzag. I was in kindergarten. This is a 5-year-old that she needed to worry about their safety for. Though I was raised in Madison, a city that is considered fairly safe, my mom knew there was nothing guaranteeing my safety, not even here.
Just a couple of weeks ago, at La Follette, a sophomore brought a gun into school. He was in there for 3 whole minutes before anything happened. That's 3 minutes he could have shot someone. Even though we know this person and he wouldn't have, that doesn't mean nothing could have happened. The point is, he is 16 and he could get a gun and no one stopped him. And he could come into a school and no one stopped him. We cannot live with this happening.
The reality of our schooling is that we've had to know what to do in the event of a shooting since day one. In this country, kindergarteners, these could be your little siblings, these could be 5-year-olds that you know, that you take care of. They could be your 5-year-olds. Kindergarteners have to learn when, where, and how to hide themselves and their friends from a shooter. In this country, 8-year-olds are afraid of getting light-up shoes because their teacher told them it's too dangerous and the shooter would see them. In our country, kids no more than 6 or 7 or 8 years old, they have to volunteer to be the one to push a table against the classroom door. And they do so because they would rather die than see their friends die. These are kids that have to face these awful decisions from an early age. In fact, even at this rally, we have had to worry about what to do in the event of an active shooter. We are the only country in the developed world that faces these issues on such a wide scale. We are the only country in the developed world where kids have to figure out what to do when facing almost certain death. We are the only country in the world, and the developed country, where going outside to a public place could get you killed. We've had over 400 mass shootings in the last year in which 642 people died. That is 642 valuable lives that were lost. People with hope and dreams and families and futures. And what did our government do? What did our government do? We sent out 642 thoughts and prayers.
Here in America, those lives are just numbers. These deaths happen so often, mass shootings aren't even reported nationally unless more than 5 people die. 5 people have to die for it to be news. When any other country has mass shootings, policies change to help the problem, to fix it. But in this country, they want us to remain numb. When we see 17 teenagers die at Parkland, when we see 20 children die at Sandy Hook, the politicians do nothing. Only a sociopath would not see that there's something extremely odd in the system. Virginia.
The fact of the matter is, we are the ones who have to go to school every single day with this truth weighing on our shoulders. Gun violence is so prevalent that it is not an understatement to say that when we walk into school, we risk our freaking lives. Some opposed to this rally have been asking what we kids could possibly know about politics. In their minds, kids should be vapid and only care about the latest Musical.ly or Disney Channel show. In their minds, we should be doing the things that kids do. But what these people don't understand is that we were robbed of our childhoods this day and every day since Columbine. We were robbed of our childhoods. We were robbed of our childhoods when our country decided that keeping guns was more important than our lives.
As such, we'll have to be the ones to make the change. We'll have to be the adults we wish we could see standing up here fighting for us. We reject petty attempts to solve gun violence, like arming teachers, getting more resource officers, setting up metal detectors, and locking all the doors. We reject the idea of keeping kids inside a prison, because school is not a prison, and we aren't going to contribute to the school-to-prison pipeline. What we want is to feel safe in our own school, to feel safe in public spaces, to feel safe out here. But we can't now. We want common sense gun laws that keep everyone safe and to keep firearms out of the hands of those who only want to hurt us. We want to cut bullshit red tape, and above all else, we want no one else to die from gun violence. We're saying no more Parklands, no more Sandy Hooks, no more Columbine, no more.
We also want everyone to acknowledge that gun violence disproportionately affects people of color, and they are often put on the back burner in movements like this. Statistics show that black people are killed at almost twice the rate of their white counterparts due to gun violence. Their deaths are just as meaningful as their white counterparts. Their deaths are just as meaningful! And we will work to ensure that their voices are heard as we implement change. And hey guys, y'all really know how to show up. Let's go. Give yourselves a hand. Let's go. By a show of hands, how many of you guys will be 18 by next November? Let's go. We expect to see you at the polls. Y'all need to show out. We will be the ones who decide the outcome of the next election. We will show up and take a dub at the polls. We're taking that dub, you guys.
change and action and attention from our legislators and people of power around the country, and for them to know that we are sick of inaction and we are sick of growing up in an era of school shootings. Our entire schoolhood has been shaped around active shooter drills and Alice drills, and we're sick.
Do you get a sense that it's lost on adult lawmakers that these are your peers who are being killed?
I think sometimes it does, and they don't see, they're not in our classrooms, they don't see it firsthand, and so a lot of that real connection is lost. But I think also there's a part where all of my peers, we know how to communicate with each other and pass political barriers, and that's what we do every single day, and we look past each other. And I think a lot of times when our legislators are trying to make decisions, our political barriers stop them. So yes, I do.
Do you feel more galvanized among your peers as a result of this recent shooting?
You know, I just feel like I guess I am a leader and everything, but I think we all see each other just as equals, and I think that we all see that we want to be able to come to school and not worry about getting shot. And I'd say it's just pretty much everyone's working together, and the people that step up and speak for the cause, but we all kind of work together, and I don't think anyone sees each other as a worse person or a better person because of their views. We just see each other for each other, which is something that I think a lot of people and a lot of adults could pick up and learn how to do as well.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, I'm gonna head back to school.
Go ahead.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Probably not. Well, maybe the governor.
All the help I look at that secret book. How do you do it?
Ready, sir?
$8.
I am ready. I'll have Austin explain what it is.
Yeah, well, we can deal with that.
Thank you, Governor. Ready, Zach?
We're ready.
You can jump in. So what were your impressions of these students?
Very impressed. Very impressed with their passion, what they had to say, the way they said it. It comes from the heart. It comes from the heart. And so I'm so proud of the students that were here, that what they had to say. And when I sign the bill, I'll sign it in a school.
Were you touched by what they had to say?
Very touched by what they had to say. You know, it's one thing, to hear it from the different governors. In NGA, we had a lot of people, a lot of governors were talking about it. But to hear it from the students, on Sunday night I met in Anchorage with a group of students that asked me to meet with them. And they were from different high schools. I think every high school had one representative there. And so I met with them Sunday night, and as they talked about what they wanted to do. And so, it wasn't my first experience with the students on this issue, but this was powerful. This was very powerful. Very well done. I'm very proud of what they did.
How often do you get a chance to be with your lieutenant governor in something like this? Because you have very different schedules.
We have very different schedules, but you know what? Things take priority. And so we said, let's
a wave of activism.
Be part of this, but not part of this, not run up and grab a mic and make a speech. We want to be,
as superintendent of this great school district,
we want to listen,
and as a father, 3 daughters, and a member of this community, I am extremely proud of young people. Their efforts so far has brought about a change here in the state of Florida that several weeks ago never would have thought possible.
I think it always makes a difference. And when they come with the kind of passion that they come with, and the issue is it doesn't get any closer to home than it is for the students. And so our whole push has been to make sure that we can do things to keep the students safe. So their voice is very appropriate. And I always say that those closest to the problem probably are closer to the solution. And so we listen carefully to the students as far as some things that they have said and what I learned Sunday night. So they'll be included in the process, no question about it.
And we hope to see many
for human beings who struggle with mental health. Enough! Brain research has taught us that our frontal lobes are not fully developed until the age of 26. The frontal lobe, the section of the brain responsible for good decision making, sound logic that contribute to effective problem solving. As a classroom teacher with a questionable frontal lobe, I coach, support, and love. I'm compassionate as my youth learn from their mistakes. It is my job to set structures and routines to enhance their growth into adulthood. At times, it's my job to protect my students from themselves. Take the push pins away. Hide the scissors when they're not in use. Keep my classroom safe. Putting a gun in my hand does not keep my youth safe. Having me carry a concealed weapon designed to kill one of my students is ludicrous and should not be up for discussion. Enough! It is our elected officials' job to write appropriate gun laws that keep our youth safe. Legislators of Wisconsin, you need to raise the minimum wage to $21 to buy rifles and assault weapons, ban bump stocks, limit magazine capacity, and hold businesses accountable for their background checks. Laws like these will begin to be enough. Responsibility also falls onto our school districts to build a continuum of services for every student to be successful and to receive a free and appropriate public education. Our system is currently a one-size-fits-all system. Students are not one-size-fits-all. Students are human beings. Fair does not mean everyone gets the same thing. Fair means everyone gets what they need. That is justice. And because there is no such thing as a bad kid, when a behavior occurs in a classroom, students' needs are not being met. This is not the classroom teacher's fault. I believe teachers are doing the best they can with what they have, and what they have is not enough. It is the job of the school district to invest in the resources that allow school staff to meet the needs of every student. Teachers need a decrease in classroom size, an increase in the number of SEAs, special education staff, an increase in social workers, school counselors, and school psychologists. I do not need money for guns. Communities, we should not shun those who do not fit society's norms. We need to wrap our arms around them. The more we push people away, the more they will take drastic measures to be seen. This work begins in our schools. But the number one thing that needs to happen is we need to care about each other, listen to each other, be understanding and compassionate to each other's journey. Do not be afraid of the youth. Listen to the youth. Treat them as a human being. There are valid reasons for their behavior. Their behavior does not truly dictate who they are. Their behavior could be a coping mechanism, a way to save face, used to protect them from the world. Every kid matters. Words have power, a concept consistently discussed in my classroom. Words can paint a picture. Words can argue, to persuade, to create an emotion. Words such as dangerous person paints a picture. Words such as dangerous person sparks an emotion. Enough! How does someone classify who is dangerous and who is not? When thinking about legislation, we need to think about our words. We need to think about how we choose to label. We need to think about our internal biases. To the government officials representing us, some of the youth standing here today are voting in November. Dear 45, anyone born before 2002 is voting in 2020.
Youth are passionate, youth are intelligent, and they are watching you. The choices you are making, the voice rings in their ears. Take it from me, there is power in the youth, and they will exercise their rights in November and 2020 because they know that is their civic duty. Do not underestimate the power of a pissed-off teenager. Pissed-off teenagers form rallies. They march. They will be heard. They have no trouble expressing their opinions. But that is not enough. Adults, we need to listen to the youth. To the students here today, I'm extremely proud of each and every one of you. As I tell my students, your voice matters. You can be the change you want to see. Use your powers for good. Go out and take action. And you did that today. As John Lewis says, you caused good trouble here today. And don't let anyone tell you that you do not matter. Your voice matters. You matter. You are enough. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next, I'm going to introduce State Representative Jocasta Zamarripa.
Good afternoon. Thank you for coming to your house. I'm State Representative Jocasta Zamarripa. Keep coming back to your house. In the 1920s, we marched for women. And in the 60s, we marched for civil rights. And every May Day, we march for immigrant rights and our immigrant families. We march when we see injustice. We march when we know that there's a problem. We march when we know we can and must do better. And that's why we're marching today. That's why you marched today. We're marching for the 17 people who are murdered with a gun in Parkland, Florida. And we're marching for the 96 people who are shot and killed every day. And the 250 people who are shot and survive every day. For the nearly 3,000 people who've been shot and killed since Parkland. And the more than 7,000 who've been shot and survived. We're marching for the victims of gun violence today. And the survivors of gun violence. Everyone who's lost a friend, a colleague, a loved one due to gun violence. We're here today, you're here today, marching for them, for you, and for us. I'm one of those legislators that the teacher just spoke to, that you guys need to rally and lobby and insist. We see you, we hear you, we stand with you, and we will fight for you. And you must demand it of us. I want you to remember this quote from Margaret Mead. Don't you ever doubt, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. You can. You can. All of you can and will change the world. What you are doing matters. You matter. Thank you for being here. Thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you. All right, next I'm going to introduce one of Wisconsin's gubernatorial candidates, Kelda Roys.
Thank you. My name is Kelda Roys, and I am running for governor because it is time we have a leader who stands up for you and not the NRA. I am so energized and I am so enthused by the beautiful voices and faces here today. And I think even if Scott Walker ran away from this building so he wouldn't have to look at you, he is going to hear from you in November. Our governor took $3.5 million from the NRA, but it is not too late for him to do the right thing for our children. I am here not because I'm running for governor, but because I'm a mother and a stepmother. And my husband Dan and I are here for our children. I have 2 stepdaughters, Erin and Emily. They go to West. They're right there. And Erin came home and she said, Keldon, what are you going to do after Parkland?
One of, if not the richest and most developed countries in the world. Yet when we attend school as children, we should be afraid. We should be afraid that someone will walk into our school with a semi-automatic rifle and murder us. If we do not feel secure in a place of education, where can we feel safe? Nowhere. Right now in America, there is nowhere we can feel truly secure due to our nation's antiquated gun laws. When our Constitution was drafted, the Second Amendment was necessary to prevent the rise of a tyrannical government. But times change, and we must change with the times. It's time to limit these laws and create new regulations so we can live our lives without fear. In the recent Parkland shooting, an AR-15 rifle was legally purchased by a mentally ill 19-year-old who then proceeded to murder 17 innocent people. AR-15s are semi-automatic rifles, meaning they can fire a certain number of bullets in a very short period of time. Why would you need to fire 400 bullets in a minute for self-defense? Why would you need to fire 400 bullets in a minute for hunting? Why? The fact that semi-automatic guns and bump stocks are still legal is unacceptable. Our goal is not to take away all guns, but simply limit the capabilities of mass murderers. We call on our governor and other Rhode Island lawmakers to make all semi-automatic weapons and bump stocks illegal. We call on President Donald Trump, the Senate, and the House of Representatives to follow suit and make these deadly weapons illegal across the nation. Yes. Guns have no place in the school, and automatic guns have place nowhere. There was once a time when governments ran the world, but now it seems corporations control everything. 85 members of Congress are affiliated with the National Rifle Association. This is simply in Congress. It's impossible to know how many local politicians accept funds from the NRA. How can you be unbiased on gun laws and make the correct decision when you're receiving money from the corporation that directly benefits from the sale of guns? We call on all politicians to stand with us. Stand with the victims of these despicable shootings and deny all funds from the NRA. Yes. We cannot... We cannot allow our leaders to roll over for money. Get the NRA out of our politics.
None of us are alone where we are. So Seattle is with Parkland. Parkland is with Seattle. We're all together, and we're all driving to make change. Because I think every student in the back of their mind has the same ideal of this needs to change. So I think this will make change, but it'll make change with everyone else.
I don't know if it was you, it might have been one of the other kids up here that talked about how, soon we're going to be the ones in charge. So we can do something now, or we're taking it.
Yeah.
Can you kind of give me an idea of what you guys your thought process here?
Well, for the longest time, I think it was, I was looking at the case report of Tinker vs. Des Moines, the student free speech Supreme Court case in the 60s. And one of the justices had said, students should handle this in the ballot box, and immediately I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense. We can't vote. And I think coming into today, I had that same feeling, like we can't vote, but we're going to do everything we can to instigate change. But then I had a second thought, we will be voting soon. So far, I think we haven't been answered to as a generation, and that will come. I'm now a voter. I know the other organizers are going to be voting in 2018. All of these students will be voting in the next 4 years. And we will be in the driver's seat no matter if anyone likes it or not. We will be American citizens ready to vote. So, this was done in part with many different organizers, and it is incredible to see.
Was it good to see local officials here?
Yeah, so I was actually put in charge with contacting many of the local officials. And what was really awesome to see is while we were talking with them, they all showed support there too. The recent city council bill that was just passed, Gonzalez's resolution, that was awesome to see. I went and testified for it. And to see that our city supports us like that is great to see. I know we want change at the state and federal levels, but to start in the city is a big deal, and we'll expand from there. So,
what's your name?
Cool. Zach Heffron, so ZACHHEFFRON. I'm a senior at Nathan Hale High School.
Thank you, Zach.
Thank you.
Good.
The idea of having fear being shot in our classrooms has been instilled in our minds. The reality is, I still dwell over that same thought over 5 years later as my friends and I are at a table discussing recent events thinking, am I next? Enough is enough. Protect kids, not guns. As a student, I have heard from other youth organizers that this is what the youth communities want, to eliminate the fear of another shooting and to ban assault rifles in Rhode Island.
Yes!
Adults cannot expect youth to focus on doing well in school if their brains are fully occupied by the ways in which their basic needs of safety are not met. If youth can't function well in school due to their worries about survival, then how may our society truly advance? These are issues that deserve attention. We are going to be heard. It's time that we stand up and bring the change we wish to see. Thank you for your time and for standing for us.
Hello everyone, my name is Tyler Demola, and I'm a senior at Classical High School. My peers and I are from the generation of survivors and unanswered prayers. We are from the generation of scared kids, worried parents, and check-in phone calls.
What's your name?
My name is B, and I'm currently enrolled as an 8th grader at Daniels Middle School.
Okay, awesome. Thanks so much. Thank you. Are these all the people that were last? Really? Wow, that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
What made you want to put this together?
So at Seattle Academy, where I'm a senior, we before we left and marched to the light rail station to come to Red Square, we myself and my friend Catherine, who's also a senior, we held a moment of silence at 10 and we read a name for each minute. And we just want to make sure that we're not forgetting what we're doing all of this for. This is, it's absurd that, for me personally, that whenever I enter a room, I just think about where is the nearest exit? What can I use if I need to defend myself? And I mean, I'm not the only one. I've spoken to most of my friends, and they share the same concerns. And no child should have to do that changes people, that changes children. And I just want our politicians and those in Olympia and Washington to know that we're here, we're not going away, this isn't something that's going to pass over within these people, and that we matter, and we are a priority, and we want to know that they consider us to be a priority, and that our lives matter.
Well said. What's your name?
My name is Lake Lewis. Lake, like Lake Washington. Yeah.
And you're at Seattle Academy?
I am, yes. I'm on ASB.
Awesome. Good job. Really good. Thanks so much. Let me get a picture.
Yeah, very excited.
That's all the victims, right?
Can you just go tell your dad? I got an email from 213 last night saying you guys want to interview me.
Sure. I don't either, but let's interview you. What did you're one of the organizers? What do you think of this turnout?
The turnout, it was so much bigger than I expected. It began as a couple of as Roosevelt and Nathan Hale organizing a rally, and then they roped in some private schools. I'm one of them, and suddenly the numbers just like got bigger and bigger and bigger until like a huge number of kids were missing class and coming out to actively show that we're done and enough is enough.
Yeah, what do you want the message to be?
I think that there are several messages that need to come out of this rally. I think one of the big ones is that everybody in this rally is going to be voting in the next 4 years, and if the legislators and our lawmakers don't make a change, we're going to vote them out, because that's what democracy is, and if they don't listen to us, we'll vote them out.
Anything else you want to add about this whole thing?
I think the true power in this is the repetitiveness that we're doing this on Wednesday, and then on March 24th is the Seattle March for Our Lives, which I'm also involved in planning, but I think that, and then on April 20th, there's another walkout to memorialize the Columbine shooting. And I think that the repetitiveness of this and the fact that we're not going away, we're going to keep pushing until assault rifles are off the streets, because they're assault rifles. They have the word assault in them. They're not meant for civilians. Until that issue is gone, we're going to keep coming.
So the politicians who don't support any new gun control legislation and are hoping this kind of starts to get swept under the rug, the message is it's not.
Yeah, I think that that is an uneducated sentiment, because in history, teenagers have pushed many of our major social movements. The civil rights movement was pushed majorly by the youth, and we saw major change in the civil rights movement, and I think that this is going to be much like that. This movement isn't going away. We're going to keep fighting until there is a change.
What's your name again?
Shira Lysloren. SHIRALYSS-LOREN.
And what school was it again?
The Bush School.
The Bush School, and you're
a junior.
Junior. Okay, awesome. Well said. Thanks so much.
I'm probably going to get my tripod before I start over.
Thank you.
Julie.
I never did. No.
Addressing gun violence in every sense has become an issue centered not on humanitarian concern, but partisanship. As it was put by Stephen Henderson, editor of the Detroit Free Press, if we required that every gun manufactured be fired and its signature ballistics recorded in a national database, how on earth would that implicate law-abiding citizens' abilities to exercise their rights? Even better, what if we restricted the kinds of weapons that could be sold? What if we limited weapon types and magazine sizes? All of it, none of it would harm the rights of legal gun owners, and all of it would help protect the rights of those who are slaughtered by people wielding guns that are too easily available, too easily distributed, too easily lost, sold, bought, and even funneled into menacing hands every day. I'd like to take a minute to elaborate on the idea of limiting weapon types. Assault-style weapons were banned in 1994, but that prohibition expired in 2004, and Congress opted not to renew it. Yet what reason is there for military-grade weapons such as the AR-15 to be circulating by the millions in the American public? In a 2015 catalog for the AR-15, it was described as ready to perform anywhere, a weapon that combines industry-leading innovation with battle-tested experience to innovate the world's toughest, most devastatingly accurate pistols and rifles, all in our mission to provide elite shooters with the ultimate weapon systems they need to prevail under any circumstance. The intent is clear. The AR-15 is a weapon that was designed for killing in a closed space, the exact function it was utilized for by Nicholas Cruz. Today, March 14th, 2018, marks the 1-month anniversary of the devastating events in Parkland. As of today, in the United States, there have now been a total of 14 school shootings. On average, there's been at least one school shooting per week in the year of 2018. As of today, there have been 45 mass shootings, 4,723 gun violence-related injuries, and a total of 2,777 gun violence-inflicted deaths. 33 of those deaths have occurred in Wisconsin. Although mileage may isolate us from the tragedy of Stoneman Douglas, the nationwide epidemic of gun violence does not burden the responsibility of installing change only on those directly affected. It is the humanitarian duty of us here today to ensure that this time there is change, that it is real, and that it is tangible. Last summer, I had the opportunity to meet American filmmaker Ken Burns after a speech he gave at the University of Maryland. History, he said, is not just about past events. History consists of the questions we, in the present, ask of those past events so that we cannot help but be informed, however consciously or subconsciously, by our own hopes and fears. William Faulkner said it really well. History is not was, but is. So the future is right now with you. Seize it. I believe that now is the time to act on his words. It is time to act so that we will no longer have to wonder at what point in history the right to own a gun transcended that of 17 students to come home from school. At what point in history the right to own a gun transcended that of 17 students to live full and successful lives. Thank you.
All right, we only have a few more speakers, so bear with us, you guys. I'm going to introduce my fellow organizer and friend, Paulina Baker.
Hi guys, I'm Paulina. I go to LaFollette High School and I'm a junior. Yeah. As soon as I was able to form an opinion on things like gun policies, I did. And arguments I hear about these topics way too often are, it's the people, not the guns, or guns don't kill people, people kill people. These are arguments that I agree completely with. People who have intentions of hurting others, whether it be one person or 100 people, will find a way to. The fact that firearms are so easy to obtain by people who have these premonitions is the exact reason to why we should instill common sense gun control. Implicating the bills we are requesting for will limit availability to an extent where people who are not competent to own a firearm safely will not be able to obtain it. As a personal experience involving my dad, who is a proud, responsible, and educated gun owner who undeniably supports the need for gun control, he has taught me a lot about how fire weapons work and the kinds of requests we need to ask for so that bills being heard will make sensible and will be sensible and most likely have a direct influence on the decline of gun violence. Licensing people to buy firearms like we do for people who want to be able to drive would take care of universal background checks, competence and safety tests, mental and physical health tests. This would in return require there to be an extensive path to even be able to buy a gun. After this, for every firearm you buy, you'd have to get a card with the make and serial number for the gun under your name. These gun policies have been observed from other countries like Argentina, where tight gun control policies have resulted in a steady decline of gun violence. We need to start looking at other countries or even states that have tight gun control and compare it to the correlation to gun violence. In addition, I want to speak about the matter that we're all here for. Yes, mass school shootings are a problem in our society, and sadly it has taken this to inspire many youth to finally take action. But that is not the only problem with gun violence in the United States. Gun violence has been a part of American culture for a very long time, and it is sensible to see why. It's the failure to impose gun control laws as gun technology began to progress. Gun violence has swept low-income and/or minority neighborhoods for decades, but because of the trend in our lawmakers, the problem has been ignored within our society since until recently it has not majorly affected the white Americans and their children. In terms of race and ethnicity, according to the Luston School of Public Affairs, it is said that 77% of white gun deaths in the U.S. are suicides, while 19% are homicides. The figures are nearly opposite for African Americans, for which only 14% are suicides. African American males in the 20 to 29 age group have the highest risk, 89 per 100,000 people, in terms of the firearm homicide rate, which is comparable with Honduras. In cities where areas are divided socioeconomically, there has been a presence of guns and violence occurred. This correlates to Black and Latino communities in populous cities like Chicago, where areas are condensed with minority groups. I also want to mention what the lax gun restrictions in place in Wisconsin now have allowed. People who have domestic violence records to easily obtain guns. Things like gun shows and private sellers are allowed to trade and sell firearms without even having to do a background check or officially record the trading of the weapon. We need necessary universal background checks as well as documenting the selling and/or trading of firearms. The difference between the countries who have a low gun homicide rate and the United States is that they have progressed as a society by making gun control laws. On April 28, 1996, in Tasmania, Australia, the worst mass shooting in their history happened. Within months, the country implemented new licensing requirements, a 28-day waiting period, and a firearm registry. Since then, there has not been another mass shooting. I think that the biggest reason why we haven't taken major action to prevent mass shootings is the belief that it is our inherent right to bear arms, the U.S. being one of only 3 countries in the world that has it as a right. Maybe it is our culture. The thought of gun ownership is seen more as an entitlement rather than to a privilege that has to be upheld, which is why so many people are opposed to reform. But we all have had enough. The time to make a difference and progress as a united people is now. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So our next speakers are from Middleton High School. We have Max Cresta Giacomo and Amuna Saleh.
Like many of you, every night since February 14th, I have found myself watching video after video of the Florida high school where 17 innocent souls were gunned down by a student whose name doesn't deserve to be said. And like many of you, every night I stare completely baffled and at a loss of words because on the screen of my phone I'm seeing classrooms and I am seeing hallways that are spitting images of the classrooms we sit in every day and the hallways we walk through every day. It is a reminder that it could be our school on the news. It could be one of our classmates walking through those front doors with a gun in hand. Scratch that. It could literally be anyone walking through those front doors with a gun in hand. And you know why? I think we all know why. Because that is the cost we pay for the lack of gun regulations our government has allowed. It is the cost we pay for the simple fact that in the ears of the politicians, the voice of the NRA rings louder than that of the American citizen. But we will scream and will shout and we will demand change, because we will not allow it to be our school on the news. We will not be next. We will not be next. We will not be next. We will not be next.
We are here today because there are individuals in that very building that have proven to us their inability to keep us safe. It is time. It is time that we call out our elected officials for falling through on their promise to keep Americans safe. 1999, 2 teenagers murdered 13 students and staff at Columbine High School in cold blood. 2012, a teenager opened fire on Sandy Hook Elementary School, killing 20 innocent children and 6 adults. 2017, a man fired on a crowd of people at a concert in Las Vegas, killing 58 and injuring 851 people. 2018, a student at MSD High School in Parkland, Florida, killed 17 students and staff. Remember when you, our elected representatives, promised never again and gave us your thoughts and prayers? Yet to this day, the victims of this shooting and all those before are still waiting for you to take action.
We all have a dream, like MLK said. We all have a dream. I'm not the only one here, as all of you standing here in front of me. I'm only one drop in a mighty wave that can shake this nation to its core. We all have a plan for safer schools. There is no way that someone, anybody, can have an AR-15 while someone else sitting at home just for self-defense has a pistol. It's about equality, and we need to enforce that. There is no way that 17 plus bodies need to be shed. More blood needs to be filled in these schools. These schools need to be turned into graveyards before we do something. No.
Schools should be a space for us to grow and explore our thoughts, but how can we expect an education at a place we don't even feel safe in? This is not a problem with schools, it's a diseased nation.
We built a society on a broken foundation.
Mr. President! You blame mental illness, not the root of the problem. You'd rather create false issues than actually solve them. Hiding away in your White House, let me make this clear. You can't avoid the problem.
If it's happening right here.
Hey everybody, so my name is Allison, I'm from George Washington, and I just wanted to say that we deserve to feel safe. We shouldn't have to go to school and be worried about someone who's going to just come in and shoot us. We deserve the right to be safe and to just not have to worry about such things, because it's just not, it's not right. So that's all I wanted to say.
Hi everyone, I just wanted to say, why do we have to go to school and fear for our lives? Something needs to change, and it's about time we've done something to try to make a difference.
Door. Go.
My name is Nora Aisawi, and we're from John O'Connell High School. As you may all be aware, the national conversation of gun violence has once again been ignited with the recent school shooting in Parkland, Florida. As the United States remains as the leader of death from gun violence among any other developed nation, there needs to be a
along with various escalated cases of police brutality, I never saw guns as the enemy, just the people who harnessed them. Recently, that mindset has changed, for guns are the issue. Just 2 years ago, my father took me to the shooting range to learn how to shoot a pistol in case I was ever in a position where I needed to protect myself, and let me tell you, that tiny thing had a lot of power in and behind it. It's terrifying knowing how strong a pistol can be, and then seeing people walk into schools with military-grade weapons, releasing several rounds per second onto unsuspecting students, just hoping to make it home without too much homework at the end of the day. At 17, I should not have to watch my brothers walk out of the house wondering whether they will make it home or not. Knowing that untrained professionals can get their hands on these weapons is sickening. These guns are military grade and should only be harnessed by military personnel or highly trained officers for SWAT situations. No person should get to walk around holding somebody's life in their hands. The time has come to put an end to the madness. It has been far too long that guns have been forgiven for the destruction that follows in their path. It's time to wake up and do something. Go out and vote, call your local representative, educate yourselves and others. But stop pretending it'll go away if we ignore it. Our lives are worth more than that. Thank you.
Oh dear. Okay. Hello, my name is Kaylin Hout King, and I'm a senior at Memorial High School. I'm also an 18-year-old African-American adopted into a white middle-class world. I grew up sheltered from the world of gun violence until middle school, and when my cousin was gunned down on the streets of Chicago. He was exactly how old I am now. My eyes were immediately opened. I was stunned to learn that I had no clue. I had no clue that high schoolers, kids just like me, could walk around armed and ready to shoot at any moment. I was even more stunned to learn about the flawed series of steps it took to acquire a gun. Seeing the effects it had on my family made me realize that something needed to be done. So that is why I'm here today. I'm here for the parents, scared to send their children anywhere because anyone could walk in and end their child's lives. I am here for the siblings, hugging each other extra tight because any school day could start with the ring of a bell and end with the bang of a gun. I am here for my fellow students because we need to feel safe in our place of education. Finally, I am here for the lawmakers, to show them that something needs to change. Kids are dying. We are dying. How many more before we get your attention? How many more before our voices will be heard? The numbers are climbing, and I soon fear there will be no more voices to hear. We need change now. So please, adults, start voting. Youth, start speaking. Never stop fighting for change. Thank you.
All right, our last group of speakers, Amayu Adari Selassie and Zainab Nafid.
Hey, what's up, guys? Oh my god, y'all made it through like 20 speeches. I compete in forensics. I can barely make it through 3. Like, honestly, I can't. So, my name is Zainab Nafid. I'm a senior and I go to West High School.
And my name is Amayu Adari Selassie. I also go to West High School.
Right, so I'm one of the organizers here at West High School, and I'm going to be honest here. As someone whose parents fled the Middle East due to the instability and the violence of the government, gun control is probably one of the only reasons why I'm even here.
And as someone whose family fled Milwaukee for the fear of instability and increasing gun violence in my surrounding neighborhoods, this is one of the reasons why I'm here.
See, now although we come from different backgrounds, we face the same unique problem together. My parents craved that assurance, right, of their family's safety and the promise that their children would be able to grow in a protected environment and be able to contribute to a better world. However, I fear that's a promise this country can no longer make. We are a country that is home to nearly half of the entire world's civilian-owned guns, when the reality is that in 2017 alone, there were 355 mass shootings in a 365-day year. We've come to a reality where our guns infringe on our basic rights to live in a safe country.
I don't know if many of y'all know this, but Milwaukee is the most segregated city in the nation. Growing up playing outside wasn't a privilege that I had.
Down below, the cars in the city go rushing by. I sit here alone and I wonder why.